You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. By going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com, you can make this possible. Lots of tears today in Dallas as fired Dallas police officer Amber Guyger took the stand in her defense in her murder trial. She, of course, is on trial for the murder of Botham Jean. She walked into his apartment. She says she was mistaken, thinking it was hers, shot and killed him. Well, on the stand today, prosecutors were very, very tough on her as they broke down her testimony. Here's what she had to say.
And I'm going to need you to step in. First of all, when you were walking down that hall, I want you to show the jury how you carry this equipment, okay?
No, I could do it. And you take it right. Please, I'm sorry. You can take about a 10-minute break. You all may be seated.
And what happened this time?
What happened was I put the key into the lock. I see that it's cracked open. And at the same time, I'm hearing this moving around. But me putting that key, the key fob into the lock, it's pushing the door open. And everything's happening all at once.
Okay, let me ask you that. We're breaking this down, but how fast can you tell the jury this is happening?
Less than 2 seconds. The motions of me doing all this is less than 2 seconds.
Tell the jury what you felt inside and what you felt in your brain when you saw those three things happen.
I was scared to death.
How quickly did that happen?
Less than 2 seconds. It was quick.
Okay. Why were you scared?
I was sick. I thought I came home and they're inside my apartment. And that was alerted me on this. Your heart rate just skyrocketed. This feeling you never want to feel again.
Okay. As the door opened, did you see anything in your apartment?
Yes, I did. That's whenever...
How did the door get fully open?
I used my left arm to fully open it. And at that time, that's whenever I'm drawing my service weapon out.
All at the same time?
Yes, sir.
Okay. When you saw that figure, or silhouette of a figure at the back, did you do anything?
Yes. That's whenever I pulled my gun out and I yelled at him. It's like, let me see your hands, let me see your hands.
What was the figure doing?
It moving around.
Okay. Did that cause you some concern?
Yes.
Why is that?
I couldn't see his hands.
How fast does this happen?
Real fast. It's seconds.
Okay. Are you still holding your equipment?
Yes, I am.
What did the figure do after you said, let me see your hands?
He started coming towards me.
Okay. How fast was he coming towards you?
A fast-paced walk.
Wasn't running?
Wasn't running.
All right. When you saw him coming towards you, what was going through your mind?
I thought that he was coming at me. Because if I couldn't see his hands, he was going to kill me.
Did you hear anything as he was walking towards you?
There was a loud yell. He was yelling, hey, 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 in an aggressive voice.
Okay. When you pulled your weapon at night and you fired, why did you fire?
So I was scared. I was scared this person in the apartment was going to hurt me. And I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I was scared. Whoever was inside my apartment was going to kill me. And I'm sorry. I have to live with that every single day that I hurt.
Objection, non-responsive. Sustained.
Now that you know.
Now, of course, she's been charged with murder, and there are people who have been critical of the Dallas DA for pursuing that, saying that she did not have intent. During the cross-examination, the prosecutors kept laying out that it was her intent to kill Botham Jean when she pulled her gun. Let's go to our panel here. Dr. Amber Guyger, Howard University, Department of Political Science. Mustafa Santiago Ali, former Senior Advisor for Environmental Justice at the Environmental Protection Agency. Teresa Lundy, Principal Founder, TML Communications. Teresa, it's very interesting looking at this testimony here. And again, folks are saying tragic accident, just one of those things that happens. But the reality is Botham Jean is dead. She's alive. And here's the piece. If you're truly sorry, okay, fine. Plead to a lesser charge. But the reality is she pleads not guilty.
Yes, it is. I mean, so this entire case, for me personally, it shows that the perception that white women have about those who, are not looking like them, that are in their home. So it's obvious that she felt that she was scared. But again, I don't think she even gave a moment to the gentleman that was in her home before she put her gun. So yes, her testimony was very important when she came on the scene to the home. But again, I don't think there was any communication that was happening before she pulled the trigger multiple times.
What is crazy here, Dr. Carter, is that the people who say, well, look, it was an accident. Okay, but accidents happen all the time.
Absolutely.
And people go to prison.
Absolutely. People have consequences for the accidents that happen. And I think, as Teresa was saying, part of what, shocks the conscience is, and even in her testimony, she said this is seconds. So she hadn't had time to assess the situation. She clearly hadn't even looked around, right, to see where she was. She just saw a figure and she starts firing because she says she's scared. And I think going back to being scared, and you hear officers lean on this time and time again, I'm afraid. And that gives you carte blanche to shoot someone. You were closest to the door. You had just come home. The door was cracked. I don't know if it closed behind her, but she clearly had an opportunity to step back, to flee. But she decided to stand her ground and shoot. And as you said, she won't plead because she actually thinks she did nothing wrong, that she can get off, and that she will most likely get off. I mean, all of those crocodile tears today, talking about how sorry she is. But the reality is the Jean family is missing a member right now. This young man's life is gone, and it is not coming back. And there are no amount of tears that can replace that. And even this idea that I don't have to own anything about this other than I'm sorry and I was afraid, I think is insulting to the Botham Jean family.
Mustafa, what was interesting again, I was going back and forth with a Dallas conservative radio talk show host on Twitter who felt that the prosecution was using the wrong language with her, kept talking about how they overcharged her and all those different things and how this was racial resentment by Black Lives Matter. No, what Black people have been saying is that when a cop kills people, it's always something else. It's always an accident. It always the trigger went off. It always I was in defense. And that's what you're dealing with here, and them charging with murder. Now, of course, the jury has to make this determination, but listening to her go through this, what strikes me is I was in fear. So was the dude who was in his own apartment. Mm-hmm. And a cop walks in and pulls the gun out, and he ends up dead.
Exactly. And it's interesting. I grew up in a family with police officers and law enforcement executives, and I'm wondering who's doing their training anymore. Because every time we keep hearing, as was just said, folks keep saying, I was afraid, I was afraid for my life, these different types of things. I'm like, you are supposed to be trained for very stressful situations, and you are supposed to be able to take the time to properly analyze that. And this definitely is, this whole case has never sit properly with me. There's just too many things that just don't add up. And I think that the jury will end up finding that also. I've always wondered, where's the tox screen? So if this was somebody else who had done this, they'd want to know, did you have any drugs in your system? Did you have any alcohol in your system? Did you stop someplace after work and get something? When you don't do those types of things, then there's no way for us to know if there were some other things that were going on in this process. And then the other part, too, is that, you walk in, when you pull your gun, you know that there's a good possibility that somebody might lose their life. So that automatically brings you into a scenario where you are making a decision. She could have very easily took a step back, called for backup, and said there's somebody who's inside, I think there's somebody inside of my apartment, I'm going to go in or I'm going to wait for backup to come. So there's just a whole bunch that just does not sit right. And I'm sorry, for me, this is another part of this whole privilege paradigm that goes on where folks think that they get a pass when they do certain things.
Well, again, she has testified today, of course. We'll wait to see what the defense does next. They likely will arrest, and then it will be in the hands of the jury. We'll certainly keep you updated on what happens in that case. All right, folks, back to that Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. Folks, November 7th through the 11th, we'll be in Cabo, Mexico. That's right, for the Luxe Jazz experience. Gerald Albright, my alpha brother, will be one of the folks who will be performing November 7th through the 11th. We'll be broadcasting Roland Martin Unfiltered there that Thursday and Friday. We want you guys to come out for an amazing 4 days of a wild experience. Talk about music and food and libations and spa and golf, all that good stuff taking place at the Omnia Day Club Los Cabos, nestled on the Sea of Cortez and the celebrity playground of Los Cabos, Mexico. It's going to be an unbelievable jazz getaway, folks. Again, crazy time we plan on having there. Lots of different mini concerts, daytime excursions, including the Spirit of Jazz Gospel Brunch and Jazz Sunset Cruise. Confirmed guest, comedian actor Mark Curry. As I said, Joel Albright, Alex Bouillon, Raul Madon, Incognito, Pieces of a Dream, Kirk Whalum, Average White Band, Donnie McClurkin, Shalea, Roy Ayers, Tom Brown, and Ronnie Laws, Ernest Quarles, and more. For more information, go to lifeluxejazz.com. That's LifeluxeJazz.com. Again, we're going to have a great time. I want to see you guys there. Again, November 7th through the 11th. So while everybody else is freezing all across the country, we're going to be having a good time there in Los Cabos. And so I'm looking forward to do it. So again, lifeluxejazz.com. Get your packages now, book your airfare. Let's have a hell of 4 days. Grown folks, you know how we do. All right, folks. Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video.